The blood core laces are finally done, so check them out below. If you've been needing a pair for your Drifter 3s, your Bear Slayers, your Indy 1s, any of your boots and shoes to match your blood core kilties, to match your blood core belt, to match your blood core everything. So now we got the blood core laces done and people have been hounding us to get these. So get them before they're gone, check them out below, get yourself some blood core laces. A couple months ago, Kanye released a whole new line of clothes and shoes, all priced at 20 bucks. But last time the pods dropped, they initially listed them for 200 bucks, then dropped them down to 20 bucks. We bought a pair off a resale site, we bought a pair straight off the Yeezy site, and they ended up being exactly the same. And so there's no difference between a $20 and $200 pair. So you can understand why people are pretty suspicious about the shoe on top of everything else Kanye does. And there's people calling it a scam, claiming it's they never received their first pairs, saying it's just a bunch of cheap junk that they're selling for 20 bucks. It costs $1 to make. So we bought both the new pod and whatever this thing is to cut in half, run through all of our tests to really figure out, is this really just a cash grab from Kanye? Or are they worth 20 bucks? Are they worth 200 bucks? Are they essentially selling TEMU quality products like a lot of people claim? Is there a difference between any of these that we've cut apart? And ultimately, is this just a death rattle of Kanye of a former past where he was a top designer, or is this the next evolution of Kanye? So then what are all the shoes we got? Well, first we have the old Yeezys we cut apart. The style is pods. They weigh 6.6 ounces. They retail for 20 bucks. They're made in Italy, which is crazy. And there was no description on site whatsoever. Compared to the new Yeezys, we call these the PD-01s. So I'm assuming it's a play off the word pod. It's also 6.9 ounces, so it's a little bit heavier. Still 20 bucks, but these are made in China. There actually might be a difference between these. I forgot the other ones were made in Italy. And then as for this clog, the brand is Yeezy. The style is the SL-01. They weigh 6.1 ounces, retail for 20 bucks. These are also made in China. So first, is there a difference between the materials they use in this? The old pair used 70% polyester, 30% elastic. Same thing with the new pair. The clogs, on the other hand, but you couldn't guess it, it's 100% EVA foam. And so this is where I started to see where people are coming from, being like, okay, you know, it's like 20 bucks for EVA piece of foam. It sounds like a good deal, but like, it's also just a piece of foam. Like, it can't cost more than $1 to make. But what about the thicknesses? Well, the old pair of the pods was 1.3 millimeters thick with this basically compression sock, and then the new pair is a little bit thicker at 1.5 millimeters thick. And I feel like the new pair has a little bit more elasticity. It's a lot tighter of a weave compared to the old ones. So there seems to be a quality difference to some degree. I would have assumed the Italian-made ones were a little bit tighter and better, but so it looks like there's a little bit of a difference between them. Then if we look on the inside, the old pair had this really shitty like heel pad that we literally had to put tape on to put back in, and it just completely fell apart and it literally did nothing. And so that was a pretty bad sign. But the whole inside was this little fake leather patch, and then the whole insole was lined with the fake leather, as you can see right here. And then also at the toe, we had another patch that structured the toe a little bit so you didn't see your toes popping through, give you a little bit of extra durability, but as you can see, it was not very well adhered to the sock. So what do they do on the new pair? Well, they actually eliminated those two pieces. So the heel, I can kind of understand. Like, if it was just falling off anyway, remove it. I would have rather seen them reinforce it than just remove it. But they also removed that toe stiffener, the little hide your toenails patch on the inside. And so they definitely did make it cheaper. You know, even if it is slightly cheaper, when it comes to a $20 shoe, that is still a big difference on a $20 shoe. As for the clog, obviously it's just one single piece, so not much to talk about there. What about the outsole? The first pair, you can see it says made in Italy right there. This one obviously doesn't have it, it's made in China. The pattern is almost exactly the same. The Italian pair, the old pair, has a little bit more of a bend to it, but that might have just because it's been sitting around. But you can tell it's that rubber, and then there's still foam backing both of these. So we'll see when we get it cut in half what the real difference is. But so far, it just looks like they've pared down the old version, made it more affordable, had it made in China so it's easier to make, removed some of the components that would add a couple dollars here and there to make them even more profitable. And obviously on top of that, this is literally just like one single piece injection molded piece of EVA. So it's not looking great. And like even at the toe here, this is so sneaking thin. And not that you need a thick foam for durability, but I have a feeling they got worse. So let's cut these in half, see what's on the inside, see if this downward spiral is continued, or is this the new evolution of Yeezy? Is it just all terrible products moving forward just to cash out? I have no idea what the strategy is here with Yeezy, so let's cut them in half and see if we can figure it out. This is all of our boot accessories that we've slowly developed over like the last 4 years as we've done more and more boot reviews and realized how many things are missing in the market. Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you have a nice boot, and one of the funnest things to do with it is start to build it out, kit it out, customize it, make it your own as you're breaking it in. And that's what these kilties and boot pocket kits allow you to do. We got them in a bunch of different leathers, a lot of really popular boot leathers. They come in different sizes. You got the fringe, you got the no-shows, you got 6, 8, 10 inch, you got the boot pocket kit with 3 different pockets, different sizes. Sew it on the side of your boot, sew it on your jacket, sew it on anything. And we also just released these laces, but they sell out every time we get a restock. So if they are sold out, get on that limited edition email list. We'll announce when we have a restock of these. Even down to the Jim Green outsole we designed with Jim Green for the barefoot boots. You can buy them on our site. But the most surprising products of the year that really were shockingly successful was the boot breakers. You know, we launched this, it was 2 millimeters of foam and a high abrasion fabric just to help break your boots, because this hard veg tan is such a pain to break in for the first few weeks. Just having 2 millimeters of squish still allows you to break in that insole, still allows you to get the whole heritage feel, but it eases that painful break in until you're ready to pull them out, or you just leave them in for tons of comfort. And we just launched the 4 millimeter foam boot breaker if you want just a little extra squish, twice as thick as the original boot breaker. So now that you've bought probably a few high quality boots, customize them, protect them, make them a little bit more comfortable. That's what all these accessories do. So be sure to check out all these below. They make great gifts, self gifts, and it's a huge way that you can help support the channel. So check them out below. Okay, we got them all cut in half. So let's start with the clogs. And if you're not subscribed, consider pushing that little subscribe button. Because not many people want to touch this subject. I'm like, it's the only way you have transparency in the industry is if you hold people accountable and really show what's happening. Even if it is really cheap, $20 stuff pushed by Kanye. So now, let's see what's inside. This is the old pair, made in Italy. And the made in China pair. Okay, so what's the actual difference between these? They're pretty much structured the exact same all the way through. You can see you've got that outsole that encapsulates some foam through the midsole. The old pair, the forefoot is 20 Shore, and the heel is 30 Shore. So it's a little bit harder in the heel, and it's echoed with the new pair, where the new pair is 18 Shore in the heel and 15 in the forefoot. So it's a little bit softer all the way through. And now you can really see that there's no lining anywhere. There's not that little heel patch. And I'm guessing part of the reason they removed that isn't just price savings. I think it probably just delaminated, and even though these are 20 bucks, people are still gonna be annoyed when you buy a $20 sock and it starts coming undone. And so I think that's probably part of it, but everything else looks fairly similar. You know, it's a different foam underneath. I think they're comparable. You know, it's both a couple millimeters. The new one's just a little bit thicker. They both have the pseudo shank underneath. That's just it's like basically a cellulose or like a celastic. That's exactly what it is actually. It's just celastic stuff that you usually have as a toe stiffer, and they just put it over the arch, which I don't think that's really gonna do much of anything other than like if you step on a rock, it might help a little bit, but you're essentially just walking around in socks. And what about the clogs? About as simple as it gets. You know, it's just, it's super thin all the way through here, even up through here, it's pretty thin, but once again, it's 20 bucks. And so it's like, you can go to Walmart and get a $20 pair of knockoff Crocs, or you can get a pair of Yeezys that are 20 bucks, and ultimately they're about the same quality and price. To me, the same functionality, style, value, and even just like in hype value. You know, I'm like, and obviously I'm not as big in the sneakerhead world, but I just don't know who's buying these. Like, who's buying this? You know, it's like, who's like, yeah, I got some Yeezys for 20 bucks. I'm gonna be wearing these single piece of EVA foam around my town and everyone's gonna think I'm cool. Maybe that is the tactic. Maybe it is they're just so cheap that they've been used to buying Yeezys from Adidas for so many years that they're super hyped up, the resale prices all over the place, and he's just riding on that Yeezy name, basically solely on the Yeezy name, because there's no substance to it at all, there's no value to it, and there's very little functionality behind it. Ultimately, that is why you'd buy this. What other style reason would you buy this for? Because the Yeezys don't have the same cultural significance they used to, you know, for obvious reasons. And so even people don't really wear Yeezys the same way they used to. And so maybe that is it. Maybe Kanye is like, no one's gonna buy my shoes. I've gotten in way too much trouble. I don't have that mainstream manufacturer anymore to make them super high quality. I still need to sell some stuff. I'll just make some cheap Chinese junk, sell it for 20 bucks and just make some money. I'd rather sell 10 of the $20 shoes than one of the $200 shoes. That might be the strategy, but ultimately I have no idea. And we even bought all the clothes that they offer too, just to see how terrible the clothes are. Because ultimately, are these good quality? Not even close, terrible quality. Are they good quality for 20 bucks? I think even if you compared it to some like $20 Walmart shoes, Walmart shoes are still gonna be better, because ultimately this is a compression sock with an insole glued to the inside. And yeah, and then they just glue the pods on the bottom. This is my guess at how they manufacture these. They probably already have an existing compression sock. They grab the last that these are built on. They tack down the insole right here, and then they pull the sock over the last, gluing these two layers together, and then while it's still on the last, they probably just glue these right on top. So it's probably a very quick, very affordable, and very cheap way of making a durable sock, because that's ultimately what it is. And so it is quick, it is cheap, it is terrible, and I still, at the end of this video, have no idea what they're for, why they made them. So are people even buying these? Have you ever even seen anybody wearing pods around the street? What about these? Am I just in the wrong part of the US where I don't ever see anyone wearing Yeezys? Let me know. So ultimately, is this just a cheap money grab from Kanye? I don't know what else it could be. Are these actually TEMU quality products? They for sure are. They're made in China. They're probably, honestly, probably made in the same factories. And is there any difference between the variations of the pods? There is, they've just gotten worse. So kind of speaks for itself. Let me know what you guys think, and be on the lookout for if and when we ever get the clothes that we ordered, because that was like 6 months ago or something. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you for all your support. Check them out below if you happen to want a pair. I doubt it. Probably don't buy a pair actually, but you can push the little subscribe button, give us a like, give us some support. So thank you guys for everything. See ya.